Welcome in. Week 4. Here we go. Kicked off tonight.
Yes, sir.
What do you want to talk about first? Hit me with something so I can get babbling.
Um, 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 well, 1 second here. Let me pull my notes real quick. Let's talk about the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey and all that good stuff. That game.
Okay.
So Panthers Texans.
So, plus side of this is that they didn't put him on IR, and you have to imagine that he's not going to be out 3 weeks. It's going to be, I still haven't even heard like what grade of strain he had in his hamstring. So you have to think that it's a minor deal, and that Chuba Hubbard is a rental player for a week or two, at most. We saw DJ Moore with a slight injury scare, but come back, and he seems to be fine, and he's probably ready to just keep trucking right along coming into this week. And I believe Carolina faces Dallas, so you have to think that Robbie Anderson, or the ghost of him for these past few weeks, is going to show up, because Dallas is definitely going to put up points. And they're going to have to throw the ball whether they like it or not to keep up. So maybe Robbie Anderson is actually an okay play, even though he's been like a ghost, like I said, for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Man. So, DJ Moore is obviously like a stud now. I like what you're saying makes sense. Like, Robbie could be startable, given that there's likely going to be more passing volume due to matchup and no Christian McCaffrey. But I still have a lot of reservations there with Robbie, just given that he's been playing essentially the same role from a market standpoint as Terrace Marshall even. So it's it's really hard for me to see Sam Darnold supporting that many receivers. But once again, we are looking at a duo that was together and in New York, obviously, and hasn't really done anything with that. But they are familiar, and there will be a lot of passing volume. So he's definitely startable. But DJ Moore is just that guy right now. Are there 12 receivers you'd rather have than him for the rest of the year, or is he a wide receiver 1?
Ooh, he's definitely a wide receiver 1 based on this volume and the way he's performing. We've been waiting. We've always liked his talent, right? And it was always just a matter of, is he going to get the touchdowns? He's scoring touchdowns now. Robbie Anderson seems like an afterthought for Sam Darnold, who everyone was saying, oh, they had their connection in New York, and now they're going to just bring it back, which I never bought into. I don't see why just because these two guys played together, they're automatically just going to be holding hands and skipping through the meadows. I don't get that.
Darnold isn't calling plays, you know what I'm saying? He can't just say, oh, I'm going to throw to Robbie. There's, you know what I'm saying? That's not how it works.
I've always seen Robbie as he's not an elite talent and going to command targets in that fashion. He's going to command targets in scheme. So, yeah, like you just said, Darnold's not calling the plays. So, there you go. Totally agree.
Yeah. So, a quick note on Chuba Hubbard. He had 5 targets and 11 carries last week, which is obviously great volume, regardless of circumstance. But Royce Freeman had just 1 target and 5 carries. So I'm not saying Chuba Hubbard is anywhere near Christian McCaffrey, but this guy is probably going to be a 70% snap share running back or something close to it. He's very capable as a pass catcher, and he was an elite producer in college at his highest point. I really liked him as a prospect because he has a very high ceiling. He's a little bit lighter than he wants as a workhorse, but he's definitely capable in short samples. So he should be a plug and play RB2, high in RB2 for the next 2 weeks. So I'll go ahead and play him, pick him up.
Yep. If you he's not someone that I would trade for, but I would definitely use him as a trade piece, pushing him away from my team.
Right.
Because this is the highest his value is going to be, and if you don't need to plug him in this week, now's the time to sell him off,
right.
and get what you can from him. Let me see here. I'm trying to pull up games.
Oh, I can talk about the Texans. Why you do
Hit
that?
me. I mean,
Okay,
Brandon Cooks, and then what else? Is there
Yeah.
anything else?
Well, I had one note, and it was Cook's weekly start target vacuum. I told you so. So, I mean, Brandon Cooks. I'm gonna say every time he has a good game, he's been nothing but an elite producer his entire career, regardless of injuries, regardless of quarterback, team, scenario, target competition. He's always been that guy. He's gonna be startable until he retires because he has the blend of efficiency, target volume, and big playability, and it does it every year. So, you should have drafted him. And if you didn't, you should try to get him because this is likely just. I mean, it's not sustainable, but he's going to be a wide receiver too for the better part of the season. And I mean, there's nobody else to like catch the ball, so he's going to be a target hog, just like I mean, weekly play. But like outside of that, just disgusting. I don't know.
That's it. That's the only guy you can play. I mean, if you're super desperate or like in like maybe a two tight end league, you can look at Jordan Akins because he was like that safety blanket for David Mills, and maybe he'll give you some safe targets if you're really desperate at tight end. But
Yeah.
like that's desperation.
Yeah, you got to be desperate for that. Next game that I had was I believe Colts versus Titans. So I mean, so like for the Colts, we're looking at Jonathan Taylor had 3 targets last year. No, 3 targets last week. It's looking more like it's going to be a similar year to last year. Whereas in week 1 he was very efficient on his 6 targets, and I was very bullish. But I mean, it's looking like JT is going to be a relatively high floor, high ceiling, low floor back in RB1 because I mean you can put him in the bucket of guys like previously like J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, guys that are going to get a lot of volume and not much pass catching work. They probably get a little more work than like that tier, but I mean given that Hines is still obviously a thing and commanding more work than we like, it's hard to rank JT higher than like RB 8, 9, 10 the rest of the season because I mean his ceiling just isn't there with Hines taking that.
Absolutely. Like that's one thing about Hines is that you look at the other pass catchers in this offense, and he's like one of the more established and usable because Pittman is young and trying to get his legs still, and he's shown great promise
And doing well, yeah.
But at the same time, he doesn't have like who else is there? Pascal. These are not target hogs. So it leaves a lot of room for Nyheim Hines to make his way into the offense and be a safety blanket. I mean, they're not utilizing the tight ends at all. They're utilizing Nyheim Hines because he's more of a playmaker, so why not? I totally agree with what they're doing from a football perspective, but you got to take that into account, like you said, for JT, 100%.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you saw it, but Marlon Mack is essentially gone. I mean, he was already gone, but he's going to get traded. So, I mean, that obviously bodes well for JT because that was one of the things that was like, oh, Marlon Mack's still there. But, I mean, it's really just JT and Hines now. So, I mean, like, JT is one of the safest and most efficient. He has a pretty rare blend of, like, rushing volume plus efficiency because he's very, very talented. But, I mean, he's like almost on the same tier as Nick Chubb, but just a little bit less efficient and a little bit more pass catching. They're pretty interchangeable as we go along here. But yeah, I mean, JT, good news, Max gone, but bad news, his ceiling isn't what we thought it was after week 1. So
yeah, with Carson Wentz being in and out of the lineup and the uncertainty, Leonard Floyd going down again. I mean, it's the Colts have been a mess since preseason, and it's continued through week 3.
yeah,
It's gonna be a long time coming for them before they're really operating at 100%. Is what I'm seeing out of the Colts.
right.
Tennessee side of the ball, we had a big game out of Ryan Tannehill. I think he had a few rushing yards finally, but he loses AJ Brown. Julio gets hurt as well. So it's just going to be even more Derrick Henry, and then Westbrook comes into the fold.
from Indiana, I believe. I don't know. I know that, but he wasn't good in college. But that's irrelevant. That's just my nerd speaking.
And he played like what 99% of the snaps last week.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody else. There's just nobody there. If you take away the two alphas, so I mean,
I don't know if he's worth a pickup, but he's definitely a free square in DFS this week just to see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely looks good. He looks talented. He's fast. He's, hands are decent. Tannehill's throwing him the ball, so it's definitely one to watch this week. See what happens.
You could do worse. Yeah. So a quick note. Okay, I'm gonna do a video on this. Probably after this, just like a separate video. But once again, Derrick Henry with 3 targets and 3 catches. I don't care what he rushes for, but I'm just gonna pull up my notes real quick. This is like kind of insane. Since the year I was born, so 2002. We're looking at almost 18 seasons since then. There have been 11 players to exceed 25 PPR points per game. So that's like almost one every other year. And if you give Derrick Henry so right now Derrick Henry is averaging 4 catches per game, which is, obviously like high. But if you just bump that down to 3 for the rest of the season, and then give him similar rushing work to what he has in the past couple of seasons. So if you give him 28 catches, which is just like 3 per game. So like his projection going into this year was like 20 because he was at 18, 19. So I gave him 20. So essentially I just projected him out for 3 catches per game, which is optimistic obviously, but I mean still. And if he does that, he's getting to 25 points per game exactly, which would be the 12th best season in the past 18 years of any player in football. So to say that his ceiling is very high is an understatement. And I still think he's a buy. And with Christian McCaffrey gone, he's probably the number 1 player in fantasy rest of the season, for me at least. And we're looking at a guy that has like a range of outcomes of like 20 points per game to 25. It's pretty fucking insane. There aren't many players with a higher ceiling ever. And if he gets lucky in touchdowns, which he could because there's Julio and AJ Brown, like he could score more. He could even push 26 points per game, which would be just fucking absurd. Because the only guys to reach 26 ever were CMC last year, Lev Bell in 2016, Steven Jackson and LT, and Priest Holmes. So like that's like 6 names. So
what great company to be in, huh?
Yeah, and like his floor is still like rushing leader plus like 30-40 catches, which would be his career high. So if you can trade for him, go for it. He's the number 1 player rest season. No questions asked.
It's pretty insane to think that like after this last 2 seasons he's had that he can still outperform himself.
By a lot too.
It's pretty special.
Yeah.
So take notes.
I guess.
What's the next game?
Real quick, do you have any thoughts on Michael Pittman? Or because he has 12 targets in back-to-back games, but.
It's obvious that he's the alpha talent, and like we said, the backup to him or the next guy behind him is Zach Pascal, who is really just used in the red zone, it seems like, and very sparingly outside of that. And they're going to keep leaning on the running game, and Nyheim Hines as the pass catcher out of the backfield, and that really just leaves, and then they're not using the tight end again. So if you throw the ball 30 times a game and you're only giving 10 at most to both running backs, that leaves 20 targets, and that's easily giving 12 to Pittman. So the volume is going to be there. The problem will be the quarterback play and consistency. Do I believe in his talent? Absolutely. Is he a strong player? Absolutely. But you got to have that quarterback. Mm-hmm. I would say he's a safe wide receiver 3 play.
Yeah. So this was thrown in the group chat. Do you think it's possible to like package him for a guy like Allen Robinson? Like, is there a world where that happens? Because like if you can, just ridiculous smash,
Absolutely. Right now, absolutely. Because the state of the Bears is. It's all
awful.
Over the media how crazy and bad it was last week. Robinson hasn't done anything. Even in week 2 when he caught a touchdown, he didn't break 10 fantasy points.
10 points, yeah.
So it's, obviously the people who invested in him are going to be very disappointed. And now is the time where you can kind of pounce on that. Pittman, who do you think is the other piece in that to get Robinson? Because you can't do a 1-for-1, but maybe you can throw in like Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, you probably couldn't do a 1-for-1, but like there are some leagues where it wouldn't be far off, I don't think. Because like, I mean, you're looking at Pittman, which is, I mean, like I'm using like air quotes here, like a young ascending talent with 12 targets in back-to-back weeks, big games. He has a really gaudy production right now. And then Robinson, who's just been awful. So like, if you're in the right league, I bet you could get like, I bet you could do like a James Conner and a Michael Pittman for Allen Robinson, or like or just like someone that has like had touchdown luck, I guess. And then
like a Devin Singletary.
Yeah, or yeah. Like just like low end player and Pittman for Robinson, and that might go through it. So like, if you can do that, just smash it every time,
Yep. Yeah, like I'm glad that you brought up Robinson, because like there's a league that I have Robinson and Robert Woods as my 2 wide receivers, and they're both they've both been outside the top 36 most of these weeks here to begin, and I'm sticking with both of them because I believe it's going to turn around for both. I believe in their talents. So for me, I wouldn't sell Robinson yet. I still believe he's a top 25 wide receiver at the end of the year. But there's definitely going to be owners out there who are going to want to move off of him who are less experienced, in my opinion.
I agree. So next game, I believe, is Atlanta versus the Giants, which was just an awful game. I watched all of it.
Oh.
But, I mean, it's a game nonetheless that we got to talk about. So
yeah, I didn't get to see any of this game, so all I heard were bad things. So I'd like to know your take, first and foremost, on Calvin Ridley.
So Ridley, if I'm not mistaken, has 8, 10, 11 targets in the first 3 weeks. He's gonna have 160 targets. Like he's gonna be fine. He's only scored once, and he's been a historically great touchdown scorer. I mean, he's a top 7-8 receiver rest of the season for me still. I mean, he like, once he has a game where he like has this target total and scores, they're gonna be like, oh my god, like he's a stud, and like he always has been. He's just getting like pretty unlucky here.
Very unlucky. That's the thing that I wanted to say, is that he still has a massive air yard share.
Oh yeah.
And a massive target share.
Yeah.
So just keep plugging him in. Don't trade him away. Just take a deep breath. He's still
right. And for a guy that's been like a historically great touchdown scorer, like I mean he's been the guy keeping Julio like out of the end zone all these years. To have 1 touchdown in 3 weeks with like 30 targets is pretty rare. So I mean, like, better days ahead for him. Top 8 receiver rest season. I mean, just like keep playing him. He's great. And then Kyle Pitts, he had a season high in snap share. Obviously gets only 3 targets, but he was actually, so a tight end caught a touchdown, and it was not Kyle Pitts. It was Lee Smith who got vultured. So I mean, just like kind of unlucky here. On Pitts' 3 targets, I believe he had like 40 yards. So like he's just kind of a beast. But like we knew that. Pitts should be fine. I mean, it was pretty strange to see him want to get like 3 targets. But I mean, obviously, like Lee Smith isn't catching touchdowns like every week. So if you can get Pitts on the cheap here, I would, because I still think rest season he's like top 5 or 6 at the position. So I like him. But then very interesting for me has been Mike Davis, because Patterson has gotten like all the headlines, and like rightfully so, because he's been scoring. But Mike Davis is a very reliable high floor option in PPR. He's played 60+% snaps every week, had 4 targets and 9 carries in every week. He's just gonna put up 10 to 15 points every week, and he's kind of like that like PPR back, like in the mode like of a James White, but also with like some like rushing upside. So I like him a lot. Patterson is viable. I mean, even if it's desperation, but he has yet to eclipse a 42% like snap share in like any game. So he's, I mean, Davis is still better, but I mean Patterson has looked great, but I mean Davis is still the RB1 right now. Adam speaking. So, any thoughts on Atlanta?
Not any that you didn't already, pass out here. The God damn this bitch.
You good?
Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry.
Hey, don't worry about it.
I'm trying to get to the scores for this last 20 minutes here, and it's killing me.
Hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Here we go. All right, I'm in. Yeah, I mean, the only thing about the Falcons is that, as a whole, you have to look at them in this way when you're thinking about your fantasy players, because new coach, older quarterback, it's only going to get better. Arthur Smith is going to keep leaning on Matt Ryan and his rapport with his team, and they're only going to get better, and they're going to get better, and they're going to get better. That doesn't mean that they're going to be a playoff team or they're going to be lighting the world on fire, but it's been ugly to start, and you have to think that it's only going to get. I mean, this isn't the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. It's not that bad.
It's so bad.
Oh God. We'll get there, but yeah, it's not that bad. So just take a deep breath. The Falcons are going to be fine, especially in the passing game, in my opinion. Pitts, Ridley, are definitely going to be fine. Davis, I'm a little worried about, but there's volume there, and the running back landscape is not pretty right now. So you got to take what you can get.
I agree. Moving on to the Giants. Do you have any notes here? I have one about Saquon, but that's about it.
Again, I didn't get to see the game. I was expecting a lot more out of them based on Atlanta's pass defense in the first couple weeks. And then, Shepard, I think he only had 2 catches or 2 or 3 catches, and not a lot of yardage. Slayton was like a ghost, right?
It was just ugly all around, for the Giants, if you weren't Saquon.
And then, did Evan Ingram get involved? I don't know why people are talking about Evan Ingram this week.
I don't really remember. All I remember was Saquon catching a few dump offs, Saquon scoring. But the only thing that I really took away here was all these pass catchers between Galladay, between Shepard, between Slayton. They just aren't startable weekly, because Danny Jones is not. He's just not good enough to support that. And Danny Jones, so he's obviously mobile. I mean, we've seen it, but I don't think you realize how mobile he is. He's actually one of the most rushing friendly quarterbacks in the NFL. He scores there, he scrambles there, he takes away points from his team there. And then Saquon, what's up? And then Saquon's target share has been really volatile with Daniel Jones. I mean, we seem to be more efficient with Eli, and it's kind of concerning looking back on the data. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe it's 2 targets per game less with Jones than with Eli. So, I mean, Saquon's whole appeal was being this generational running back that can break off big runs and catch passes, but without the explosiveness that he has with the ACL and with less pass catching from Danny Dimes, it's just kind of bleak all around the team. The only thing I can say is Daniel Jones, obviously a great streamer, always has been, always will be, because he's very mobile and he throws deep. But I mean, it's just ugly outside of that. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many endorsements I heard to stack Giants in DFS for Sunday, and then it just blew up in your face. And that's typical Daniel Jones for you. You think he's gonna run into a good spot, and then nope.
Any trips at the 1 yard line.
Unfortunate for him, he wasn't playing at home. Maybe that would have made a difference, but
maybe. But who knows? I mean, Daniel Jones, man of mystery, I guess.
Yeah, he's just inconsistent, like you said, and at best a streamer because of that.
Next game, I think Chargers Chiefs. You got anything there?
Only that it's just surprising to see the Chiefs in last place in their division.
Isn't that wild?
No one would have thought that. I guess maybe the same people who thought that the Raiders would be in first.
Right.
But hey, Chargers, they look good.
They look really good.
Chargers look great. I mean, I was very concerned for Justin Herbert based off of, you know, the expectations coming off of last season, and he's certainly exceeded mine and surprised me, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he's playing as well as he is, and making Mike Williams as relevant as he is. We love that.
Yeah, very surprising for me is Justin Herbert playing this well. I just didn't see a ceiling. I mean, like, we're kind of the guy that was good at like all the unsustainable things, like great under pressure and like these things that, oh, like he's gonna regress, like he's a rookie, but he's kind of just like taking a step forward. I mean, he looks incredible. If his team is gonna keep playing in this division with, I mean, like, obviously, like the Raiders and Chiefs, there's gonna be a lot of like high scoring games, and if that's the case, and you're throwing to Austin Eckler and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, you're gonna put up a lot of points.
Yeah.
And like, once again, not only is Herbert looking valuable every week, but those three players, I mean, it's the most consolidated point share. I mean, like I know we already talked about it, but like there's just no one else.
That's it.
And it's, I mean, there are going to be high-end plays every week, and it's beautiful to watch. So
they're trying to get Jared Cook involved, but again, it's minimal compared to the other three. Not enough to take away from them. You know, maybe he'll catch a touchdown here or there, but those other guys are still going to eat because these guys are putting up 35 points a game.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Austin Eckler, this guy. So he's the best running back on the team, and he might be the best receiver. There was 6 non-Austin Eckler rushing attempts, and they combined for 2 yards total. So like he's just the only guy there. Like, Roundtree's awful. He's the best player on the ground. He's gonna get some goal line work, and he's gonna catch 8-9 balls some games. He's a low to mid RB1 every week, very consistently.
Yep.
With like a weekly ceiling to get 30 points because he I mean, the passes, he catches a bunch of them. So yeah,
just that guy,
great.
he's going to do it all. I mean, he's a CMC light in that respect.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
He's not getting 30 touches a game, but 24, 25, he's getting up there. I mean, that's everything you want, especially you throw in the pass catching. I mean, you love it. That's you're super happy if you drafted him in the first round. I've always liked investing in pass catching running backs because they usually will outperform their ADP, and he's just a perfect example of that.
He is the pass catching running back to like every year. Like, you drive Eckler and you're probably happy. So yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Mike Williams though. So like, I mean, we knew Eckler was a stud, and so was Allen, but Mike Williams has had 9+ targets in every game, and he has 4 touchdowns all in the red zone. So like, it's not like these are like big play anomalies. Like obviously he's gonna regress in that department, but I mean, this guy is the X. He's a big body X receiver that's scoring at the goal line like Adam Thielen would, and he's getting a bunch of targets. So I don't know what else to call him other than like a legit every week wide receiver 2 with upside, obviously, and he's probably the biggest surprise like this season to me, because like he's just scoring at will on high volume, which is two things that didn't happen in the past. So
absolutely, I mean, he's always had the talent and the athleticism, and then he finally gets a new offensive coordinator who is willing to utilize him that way. Like you said, as the X. They said it in preseason, he's going to be the X. And, you know, people took that with a grain of salt because of the history and the uncertainty on top of that with a new coaching staff. So, you know, if you trusted in him and his talent, and you took a shot on him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, wherever he went in your draft, I mean, he's more than outperformed that. I think he was 88th pre-rank in Yahoo, and he's currently I think like wide receiver 10.
Wild, yeah, and like, you can point at like a regression from a touchdown standpoint, and like it's gonna happen, But when you're scoring 4 times in the red zone, you're going to outperform your expected touchdowns a lot, especially when you're that big with a great quarterback. So, I mean, we're probably looking at a double-digit season with touchdowns and lots of targets there. So, I mean, he's a top 18 receiver probably rest of the way, or 20 receiver rest of the way.
Do you remember the stat from his freshman year in the NFL as I think he had 10 touchdowns on like minimal targets. I can't remember the number of targets. It had to be like less than 80.
Yeah, like 60 something. Yeah.
Like ridiculous kind of touchdown percentage. And that to me is just like, it's a precursor to what we're going to see this year. He's easily going to break 10 touchdowns, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the way he's going right now. There's a possibility he leads the league in touchdowns. There's no reason to think that he can't.
It's like, so when you're on offense, like the Chargers, and you're playing the Chiefs and Raiders that often, and there are 3 people you're throwing to, and you're one of them, and you're the biggest one in the red zone, like, I don't see why not. I mean, his range of outcomes go up to like 15, 16, 17 like touchdowns, because there isn't any reason to see why he can't get a target every week there. And he's going to be efficient because he's that type of player. So, I mean, wheels up for Williams all the way.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, like, buy him now in Dynasty if you can, because you're going to have a great player for years to come. This is his contract year, and there's a potential for him to move, but the way that he's playing, you got to think that they extend him.
And like, we have seen late bloomers before. Like, I mean, it's not like this is just like a total like anomalous scenario. I mean, like, we've seen guys like Devontae Parker have big years, Corey Davis had big years, and like these really talented players, like, they break out eventually. You know, like, they're like, you can't just be talented and suck forever. So, I mean,
and
like,
scheme matters, coaching matters,
right? And
so maybe that's just what it took for Mike to get over the hump, was a better scheme with a more offensive-minded coach who didn't want to focus everything around using a 2 running back system and making sure we pound the ball on the ground. You know, like, this is an evolutionized offense that is leaning on the pass rather than the run, and that is the future of the NFL. So, I mean, when you have these forward-thinking coaches, that's when these players break out.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, all the guys are great, and Williams with the new scheme, new coach. I mean, he's just gonna be that guy for years to come. So, do you have anything on the Chiefs, or are you just kind of shocked that they're this bad or this early? I mean, it's strange.
I guess the more shocking thing, the offense is still doing what it does. What's surprising to me is how bad the defense has been. After being mediocre at worst for the last 2 years, they've really taken a step back, and I don't really know why. Didn't seem like they've lost a lot of pieces or anything like that. It's and they still have Spagnuolo running it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think other than, like, I guess it's a good thing for Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, like, to think that they're gonna have to keep passing to keep up or like stay in games, and it's kind of bad news for Hilaire that they're never gonna really be super far ahead in any game because the defense isn't gonna allow them to be. I don't really know what to think yet, other than, like, I have to think that Mahomes is going to be fine, which he is, or that the passing game is going to be fine. You can attack the defense now, so you can take that into account when you're setting your lineups. Like last year, they were really good against wide receivers, but now, like, that's null and void. It's okay to play wide receivers against them. It's just odd to see, I guess. Yeah. I get maybe the main thing to take away is that no matter what kind of perspective you have on a team or a player based on media or whatever, Sunday is Sunday, right? Like any given Sunday. That's football. Wins and losses aren't always predicated on talent alone.
And like when we're looking at like at a game with like such high variance, because like it's just one game. Like a fumble decreases your chances of winning like 20%. Like
Right.
like that like one event is just so big in football, and so I mean it really is just a play or two that swings an entire game, and like you end up with something like this. So I mean I agree there, but so moving on to some Chiefs notes. You just gotta keep playing CEH, cause like when
Yeah,
his
you don't
job
have a choice,
security,
do you?
yeah, and so like his job security is so high because what they invested in him, you can't really sit him at all. And when you're gonna be on the field that much with Patrick Mahomes, with that high of a snap share, and like even like without Patrick Mahomes, like if a guy is getting this snap share on any team, they're gonna be good. But like if you're CEH, like you're gonna stumble into points if you're on the field. So I mean, you just gotta keep playing him. And you can't trade him because value like won't be adequate. But like he's gonna be an RB2. I mean, he's gonna be ugly, but like an RB2 with upside weekly, obviously. And you gotta keep playing him. I mean, Kelsey's a stud. Don't worry about Hill. He's at a couple like at games, but I mean, he's still a stud. But yeah, I mean, like, I agree. Like with your point about variance. I mean, it's just weird sometimes. So
That's it.
what are you gonna do? You know.
I mean, Andy Reid's been there before. He's gonna make this team win some games. I'm not worried about them winning games. And they're, the fact that the defense is bad is only bodes well for Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. I mean, yeah, Tyreek Hill's been, held in check these last couple games, but not every team has the personnel to bracket Tyreek Hill. So he'll get loose, he'll get his, he'll win you weeks.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, nothing to worry there. And like I do think that Spags will figure it out. I mean this defense has been awful at times, but like he always adjusts. So I mean, and enjoy the positive games like while you can, I guess. Enjoy the more passing volume like from Mahomes, but as we get closer to the playoffs, I mean, I don't see anybody beating the Chiefs in a 7-game series. I mean, like anything can happen, but they're probably still favorites. So I like them a lot.
Absolutely.
So moving on to a crazy battle in the NFC North. We had Bengals versus Steelers. My God, I mean, like, obviously what we're gonna talk about first is Najee Harris with 19 targets. What in the fuck? Like, this is the left bell roll. Like this
100%.
Yeah. So going back to my notes about Derrick Henry. Since 2000, what is it? Since 2013, there have been one player to average more points per game than Lev Bell in 2016, and it was Chris McCaffrey in 2019, obviously. So in the past 8 years, one player has been better than a prime Lev Bell, and that is Najee's ceiling right now. I mean, not with the touchdowns, but like he's gonna be on the field all the time. And he's gonna be catching passes all the time because there's no one else, especially with like no Deontay. I mean, it's insane. I mean,
Deontay was out at the beginning of the game, right? And then Juju got hurt.
Yeah, and then it was just Najee over and over and over and over, and it was ridiculous. He had 100 yards of there. It's like what the fuck, you know what I'm
saying? and with that said, like the game was like ugly.
Oh yeah. So ugly, like, and he still gets there,
So like, it's hard to break down, like because of all the moving pieces with the injuries, with the horrible quarterback play. Like how much longer can Mike Tomlin run Roethlisberger out there like that? Do you think he'll play all 17 games if he looks like this for 17 games?
I mean, they don't have an option. I mean, like You know what
How
I'm saying?
bad does Ben Roethlisberger have to look for you to say, put in Dwayne Haskins?
I don't see Haskins on the field this year, and like Roethlisberger isn't getting any better. I mean, he hasn't been good for several years now. Um, he's just going to be a skeleton out there, which means Najee Harris is going to be a vacuum of everything because Big Ben can't throw it more than 5 yards, which is why Chase Claypool is dead, which is why Deontay Johnson is going to be startable whenever he's back. It's just going to be like underneath passes and runs, and Najee's top 6 rest of the season because of that. I mean, he's going to get fed. And Deontay is going to be startable every week that he's there because he gets targets too. But like outside of that, like Big Ben's play style is not conducive to Claypool. I mean, like big wide receiver, like he's talented, but like just no. And then I mean Juju is kind of like redundant to Deontay, but it's worse. So like to me, it's really a 2-player offense, and that's it. And everything else is just ugly as hell. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with obviously the volume's going to Najee, and that makes him a safe play. I don't know if the passing volume like he got this past week is going to continue. Obviously, that was an outlier. But you have to think that he's going to continue. Like 6 targets a game should be his minimum, right?
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, like 6 targets, probably 16, 17 carries. Because, like, I mean, we're still dealing with a very strong defense. A player of his talent, I mean, like, that's top 7, 6, like, for me. I mean, like, outside of McCaffrey, Cook, Derrick Henry, like, at that point, you can kind of, like, there's a tier break, and you can kind of talk about guys like that. I mean, like, I'd rather have, like, Eckler, but like, I mean, Najee is right there if he's going to get that volume, so.
Right, he's in that volume conversation at the least. You know,
Yeah.
how much he can make out of it it's not even up to him at this point right now. It seems like that the O-line play has been atrocious.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterback play has been even worse than that. And then on top of that, like what was with the whole 4th and 10 and a swing pass out to Najee behind the line of scrimmage, you know, with the game on the line, basically, like you don't convert that, you're done.
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that happen? From my perspective, it was like Big Ben is like, he's like, I don't know. He's like, is he like throwing up the middle finger to the coaching staff, or like what's going on there?
I mean, there's not another way to like interpret that. I mean, like Big Ben is just like, I mean, not only that, but like he's not capable of making many other throws besides that right now. Like if it's 4th and 10, he can't really get it the 10 yards to there needs to be some yak at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like Big Ben is just that decrepit. Like that.
So then why is he
so
out
bad.
there? What upside is there if he can't even throw the ball 10 yards?
There isn't, but it's Big Ben and it's the Steelers and it's Dwayne Haskins. I just see the franchise being far too stubborn to like not try him out there anymore. Because
they have to be like 0-10 before they let someone else play quarterback.
Oh yeah. I mean, and like even because like I mean this guy's been Steeler his like I mean it's like what's an example? It was like late career Brett Favre. Like he's just not there, but like he's a Packer, you know? And then like even like for the Vikings when he was trying to fucking continue his like start streak, they put him out there and he had a fucking noodle arm, but like he kept playing. It was like Drew Brees when people were like, "Oh, Taysom, like play him." Like these guys are like more than quarterbacks to the franchise. They're like icons. So like they're going to keep playing there. Like even if it's not the best decision for the team, like they're going to keep going out there and playing average football. So
literally the only possible explanation.
Yeah. I mean, just a really bad offense to watch, but like I mean for fantasy, it's Najee and it's Deontay Wayne's out there, and like it's pretty consolidated. So like I can't really complain from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. So what about the Bengals? They beat them, and then they won again tonight on the field goal.
They're 3-1. They're 3-1. Like what?
It's amazing.
So, Jacksonville hasn't won in like 20 games. I think that's kind of funny to think about.
15, at least 19 now. Yeah, 19 in a row.
Cause like wasn't like week 1 last year, and then it was like a
And
bunch
that was
straight.
it. Yeah, so that's
That's
15
tough.
in a row last year, and then 4. Yeah, 19.
Damn, that's rough.
They'll probably hit 20.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they will. But like, in that note, Joe Mixon is really good. I mean, with no Geo, he's gonna catch more passes, and he's gonna keep getting this volume. And this team is not looking bad, so maybe we see some positive game script, which would be very foreign for Joe Mixon. He's an RB1. All these receivers are startable. I mean, I know T Higgins is out, but like all of them are gonna be startable because this is, dare I say, a good offense. I mean, uh, we'll get 10 minutes. It's cool.
Yep.
Obviously, Jamar Chase is outperforming his expected touchdowns, but I mean, he's really talented, so he's not gonna keep it up, but like he's not gonna just fall off the face of the earth. I mean, it's kind of the same old story. Mixon's a stud, and all the receivers are startable. So, what do you think?
The only thing that I want to mention about Joe Mixon is that he was limping on the sideline at the end of
Yeah,
the game today.
yeah, I saw that.
So let's just keep an eye on what that was. Hopefully it was like a cramp or something, which I also saw him like trying to stretch his leg out near the end of the game. So hopefully it was just cramping. I know that when I have a bad cramp, I limp because it hurts to walk on it. So
Right.
fingers crossed there. But he did look good tonight in the game. He looked good against a strong Steelers defense. And he's getting fed over and over and over again. The only time he only came out of tonight's game because of the cramping. So yeah, like you said, RB1 for sure, and he looks good, running strong. Let's see what happens tomorrow when we get kind of a clearer picture on what the issue was.
So there's a quote. Zach Taylor said that. Well, he wouldn't comment on the severity of the injury, but he said that he believes it was a minor injury. So, I mean, like, we could probably expect to see Mixon out there next week. And, I mean, at that point, he is probably an RB1 still. So,
For
keep
sure.
playing him as a stud.
Yeah, I agree. It probably is something minor. Like I said, he was stretching on the side. It looked to me like it was a cramp. So, yeah. You want to... we talked about Chase, who's outperforming with touchdowns. Higgins is hurt, but he was the leader in target share for the team. I think he was at like 28%. Chase was Boyd was like 22 or 23%, and then Chase was at like 16 to 18%, somewhere in there. So they're all getting some volume. Chase was getting those deeper targets, and he's scoring touchdowns because of that. So it makes him viable, even though his target share is third on the team.
Exactly. Yep. He's scoring touchdowns.
That's it. And Joe B looks good. I mean, he's spinning it, and he doesn't look scared out there. He was evading tackles today. I didn't get to see much of the Steelers game, like I said, so I don't know how he looked in the pocket there, but he looked good in the pocket tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and like when you're a Joe Mixon type with like 3 strong receivers, I mean, you're gonna be startable a lot of weeks, especially in good matchups, because I mean, even if there is no mobility for like Joe Burrow, he does have 2-3 touchdown upside like a lot of weeks, because this offense is gonna score points. So yeah, go ahead and play him if you need to.
If you're starting a quarterback who had 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, you're happy. You know, it's not an amazing game, but it doesn't kill you by any means.
And like at a certain point of streaming, like, you can't ask for much more, you know?
Exactly.
20 points, you're fine.
That's like kind of like a baseline for me. If your quarterback's getting you 250 and 2, you're solid.
Right.
Simple as that. Let's kill this meeting and re-adjourn.
All right, sounds good. See ya. Here we have, one sec, bro. This computer is like burning here. Actually, look at this. Oh shit, bro. Look at my look at my lock screen here. I made it. I'm so cool. Oh shit. Well, how do I do this again? I think he's gonna send one here. Let's check the phone here. See what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Got a little got some Snapchats. Maybe like an hour. I'm halfway done recording. It's not Halloween. It's not Halloween yet, is it? It's not Halloween. No, it's not. Is it really Halloween? It's not Halloween, is it? No fucking way it's Halloween. When's Halloween? When is... If it's Halloween right now, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, it's not even close, you fucking assholes. Someone said it was Halloween. Fucking asshole. What an ass wipe cheese. What a dickwad ass. Hey yo, we're in here before Stickman. That's crazy. Let's go do here. That me and Stickman. I come in pieces. Dude, ever since I fucking asshole, dude. Ever since I fucking painted my nails, I haven't chewed them, but then they get like long, and I chew them, and then I feel like an asshole. I feel like an asswipe, bro. It's poopy, yo. It's kind of shit. But if you're watching this, tag a timestamp and tell me how it's going. Oh shit, we're back.
Ew.
Alrighty, here we go. One sec. Let me get in here. Is next game Bears Browns?
Yep.
Okay, one sec. I'm joining on my phone.
And
oh! I hate that so much.
Me too. It's me every time.
Okay, there we go.
Alright.
Oh shit. Wait 1 second. Okay, we're cool. Bears Browns, we up?
Bears Browns.
Alrighty. So actually talk about Allen Robinson first. Cause why not?
I mean, there's not much to say about anything on the Bears side of the ball other than how bad it was, right? I mean, how many total yards of offense? 50 something?
David Montgomery had more yards by himself than the offense did total. Like he had 54 yards by himself, and the offense had like 46. Like because Justin Fields took too many sacks. Like it was that bad.
Right. So like, to me, this game is a wash. It's like that. You just throw it away. It doesn't count for anything because it was just horrible front to start, coaching, scheme, everything. You can't take anything away from it from a fantasy perspective because it's a complete outlier. In like we talk about outliers in a positive way most of the time. This is an outlier in a negative way.
Right.
You just can't account for it in any way. Justin Fields' first start as a rookie quarterback, it was obvious that the game plan was like geared for Andy Dalton apparently because they didn't have no rollouts, no play action.
Oh my god, yeah.
No designed runs, nothing for Justin Fields. Like what were the Bears doing in the preseason?
I mean, I think Matt Nagy is just an asshole. I don't know.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know.
Like, he is definitely only out for himself. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
He is definitely not into taking the blame. He is not looking to say that's on me. Why is he not saying that? And then he wants to come out this week and say it could be Andy Dalton, it could be Nick Foles, it could be Justin Fields. We don't know. Like, dude, you're not fooling anybody. Like, they don't care who you start anyways because you have a shit game plan every freaking week.
Right. It's awful.
It's really disappointing, is what it is. It's just disappointing, like top to bottom. You have really good players on that offense in Darnell Mooney, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, and Justin Fields. You have enough firepower to put up 35 points a game, and to only this it has to be an outlier performance. If there's anything close to what we saw this week coming up next week, like then we can talk about just burning this team to the ground. Mm-hmm. But I have to think for just 1 week that it's an outlier.
Yeah, and As you sip your drink, I'll talk. So, my question is, the Bears have been, I mean, they've looked really, really bad, uh, for the better part of my lifetime on offense. So like, they've always kind of just been like, oh, like they're bad, but like they produce. Like even like with Matt Forte, you're like, this team sucks, but like Matt Forte produces. But like, at what point are we just like, Allen Robinson cannot overcome this? You know what I'm saying? Cause like for years he's been this target vulture on a bad team that just produces. But like, at what point are we like, nobody can like can just, you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point is it too much?
Tomorrow or Sunday
Yeah.
is too much. If they have another complete meltdown, I'm out. I'm done. I'll sell
Yeah.
Allen Robinson for Tim Patrick. I don't care.
That's
Like
tough.
like that's how like it's so frustrating to know the talent that's there and the way it's misused. That's the best way to put it. It's misused talent.
Yeah, and it's tough because like there is going to be a game where they all look good and it all clicks, and that's going to happen. But like, it needs to happen soon, or it's going to get really, really ugly fast because this team has talent and nobody's going to produce if they can't score points, obviously, because you need to score touchdowns to produce fantasy points. So
I think that Nagy is too enamored with trying to outsmart the other coaches instead of just running an efficient offense. You know, like, this works, let's do that. He's like, oh, I'm going to trick the shit out of you. And then he falls on his fucking face every time.
Every time.
Be more Bill Belichick. Be more hard-nosed. Be more, like, into using your personnel in the best way that they are available to give you production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, running Allen Robinson on a 5-yard button hook every play is not efficient.
No.
I just need to see a complete overhaul on the offensive scheme. You know, like, is he going to give up calling plays? Is that going to help? I don't even know if that helps. You know, because he's still going to have his hand in the scheme. I think that, like, best case scenario for the Bears is that they fire Nagy, you know, or at least, like, I don't know what else they can do, I guess, besides fire him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bottom barrel NFL coach that he really just does seem selfish, and seems like it's almost like he's saying like, hey, like, here's what happens when my players like don't have a plan. Like, look how much they need me, but then he like never comes in. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
You know what?
Yeah.
You look at the other side of this game. It's a perfect example of what Nagy should be. Is Kevin Stefanski, who,
shout out him.
Yo, that's a real coach right there.
Literally,
he's a real one. I far from a Cleveland Browns fan, but I got mad respect for Stefanski and what he's done with that team. I think Baker's talented. And he gets more out of Baker than I ever thought would be possible. Yeah, he's got like one of the best running backs in the game to help him look good, but that's why he was brought in there, was to get the most out of Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
You know? And dude, look at what he did with Kareem Hunt in this game. You think that like he wasn't trying to be tricky about it. The Bears knew that when Hunt was on the field, chances are he's getting the ball. Chances are he's getting schemed into some sort of passing route. Like, but they couldn't stop it anyways.
No.
Take notes, Matt Nagy.
You could do that with a myriad of players in this team. I mean, this Bears team is not deprived of talent. But yeah, I like you were saying, like, Stefanski is just a very solid NFL coach. I mean, he has Nick Chubb, and like, obviously for like fantasy, he's gonna be a fringe RB1 every week because he has the upside of multiple touchdowns. I mean, Kareem Hunt shows you why you can't sit him. I've said this like over and over, but like he's been far closer to an RB1 than an RB2 in Cleveland, and he does it every week. Somehow he scores, or somehow he catches 8 balls, or both, and like it's just really bizarre. But I mean, Stefanski knows how to use both those guys, and they're both going to be startable. But the most exciting thing in this game for me is OBJ, because you could have gotten OBJ for literally nothing like last week, and you still can, because like his game log is 0-0 like with a fucking ACL, and then like this. I think OBJ is going to be a startable RB2. No, wide receiver 2 like rest of the season, because like there's nobody there, and he's fucking OBJ, and like he's going to get targets, and he's going to be efficient because he's OBJ. So I still think the window to buy him is like open, and you should do it. And I'm very excited for him and his outlook. So
I agree. Yeah, there's no one else there. We see that Baker likes Rashard Higgins, but that doesn't mean that Stefanski's making him the number one option on many plays. You know what I mean?
yeah,
OBJ is the most talented wide receiver there, even before other people got hurt. So the fact that he's back in the offense, he's going to get the volume, and it's only going to increase from here. You know, it was his first game back. His usage is going to go up. I think he was at like a 60% snap share, maybe a little bit less.
and he had like 9 targets.
I think 9, and he looked
Yeah.
good when he had the ball in his hands, man. You know, he didn't look scared out there to take hits or make cuts or anything. So yeah, I think it's certainly a very positive sign for OBJ and his outlook on the rest of the season.
I agree. Do you have anything else in this game, or do you want to move on to Ravens, Lions?
Yeah, let's talk about the Ravens and Lions, because that was a
Okay.
very, very interesting game. I want to
Interesting.
shoot Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, we were having conversations with other people about if they should trade Lamar Jackson, and I was just like, and it was just like, okay, if Marquise Brown caught those 3 balls, would you even be considering trading Lamar? No,
No.
you would not. And with that, this was like, a quote unquote bad game for Lamar stat wise, and he still was like, I think he had 19 or 20 fantasy points.
He's he's a cheat code.
He's such a cheat code, and if freaking Marquise Brown caught those things, he's breaking 35 points. And with that said, you have to think that 3 egregious drops like that in one game, he can't do that again. Like it just can't happen again. So like I have to say that is the bottom barrel game for the Ravens this year, and it was all because of 3 drops. 3 plays made them have to kick a 66-yarder to win the game against the Lions.
Absurd.
If those three balls are caught, they blow them out, like absurdly. So it's just that's like my major takeaway from the game, is that you can't overreact to the stat lines here. It was just like 3 plays are a huge difference in this game.
And so speaking of the guy you're talking about and you're very angry at, like Hollywood Brown, this guy has been really, really good in fantasy. He's matched or led Andrews. Well, effectively the team, but like Andrews is the guy. He's matched or led Andrews in targets every week, and I believe he's like here. I don't have the number, but I think he's a top 10 receiver right now in PPR. He's kind of been a stud, and even with Bateman back, their roles are not, they don't really overlap. So, like Hollywood has been a guy that has always left points on the table, but it seems like he's finally converting. Even with those like 3 drops, he has converted this season. So I'm gonna start Hollywood until he starts not producing, and I think you should too.
Yeah, I am as well, until he doesn't get the targets. Which this week will be the one to see, because I don't know if Rashad Bateman is going to be out on the field or not, but he's coming back from IR, and so is not Devin Duvernay, the other one. I can't think of his name right now.
James Prochet.
Yeah, Prochet.
Really?
Is it Prochet?
I was just spitballing like a random receiver on the roster, but
Well, you were right about Marquise Brown being top 12. I think he's 11 or 10 right now.
Dude,
Right, he's smushed between DJ Moore and Christian Kirk.
Christian, what a story. Anyways,
We'll get to him later.
yeah. But like, so past that, I mean, Mark Andrews has proven that he's a very talented player on offense that's gonna get volume, and this makes him a very average tight end 1 and nothing more. He's like the definition of tight end 6, and he will be for a couple years. Tyson Williams shows us why he's not more than a dart throw flex, because he's gonna have games with 100 yards and he's gonna have games with 20 yards, and not much in between because of the pass catching. So,
I blame his lack of production in this game on Marquise Brown's drops.
and that's entirely possible. It really is. But
if they're up by 2 scores, he gets more carries. It's as simple as that.
But this is within the range of outcomes with a team like this that is like high variance. I mean,
that's absolutely fair.
This is just gonna happen with like Tyson Williams. I mean, he's gonna have games with 2 points, but like he's still gonna be startable because he's probably gonna lead this backfield, and it's a very good backfield for points. So
he's one that you definitely don't want to rely on. I mean, you're still seeing Latavius Murray with all the red zone carries too. He's not getting red zone carries, which is a major concern. At least he's catching some passes, but again, there's definitely a major cap on his ceiling.
100%. Do you have any thoughts on the Lions here?
It's like a poor man's Chargers, the way you were talking about them with the consolidated target share. You know that there's only 3 guys really getting work here. We've seen some Quintez Cephas, but I'm not ready to buy in completely yet. I think that he's talented, but I don't trust Goff enough. I trust Goff to check it down. I trust Goff to hit a big target like T.J. Hawkinson in intermediate routes, but to be a consistent deep ball passer, I'm not there yet. I don't think he hasn't made that leap yet for me. It's possible, I guess, but again, I guess what you want to do with Cephas is put him on your radar. Just keep watching him and see what he kind of evolves into. I think he was like a 1,500-yard guy in college.
Yeah. The whole thing with Cephas was all the film watchers were like just like salivating at him because he had very good routes apparently, but he was very unathletic. So I mean, I don't know what to make of that, but that's my notes.
That makes him a football IQ guy, in my opinion. You know, if you're smart enough to get open without having any speed, that's not a bad thing.
If I recall, he was like very, very like stupid slow, but like he's still producing the Big Ten, so I mean I can't knock him.
Yeah.
So for the Lions, in that same vein, Swift is gonna be an RB1 in full PPR because he's literally the wide receiver 1. Yeah, I mean, not much else to say. He's gonna catch probably eight, nine balls some weeks.
There's one thing that I like about Swift, and it's that like everyone treats him like a stepson to CEH. When he was the superior talent in college, he's showing that he's a superior talent in the NFL, and people still want to draft the helmet over the name.
Exactly.
Which is kind of, it's just funny to me how much hate I've seen on CEH, but no one is giving enough love to Swift.
But we do. Right here.
We got you.
We got Swift. But, I mean, in that same vein, T.J. Hawkinson is going to be fine. I mean, this was kind of like a weird game, but, like, I mean, Hawk and Swift are the wide receiver 1s, despite not being wide receivers on the team. And they're going to be so clearly like above and beyond like everyone else on the team in targets. It's pretty funny actually.
Yeah.
And like outside of that, Jamal Williams is kind of trending in the wrong direction, but he's still startable right now because he's gonna get volume in both the ground and the air. But like I mean, like outside of Swift and Hawkinson, it's kind of a shithole. So
yeah, I mean, I like Jamal Williams. To me, he's just like that guy in the NFL. He's kind of like
the average running back.
He does all the things that the coaches want him to do. Pass block, run the route correctly, and that gets him on the field and leads to production because he's in the right place at the right time. It's uninspiring most of the time, but it's steady and solid.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to move on to Saints versus Pats?
Saints Pats. Man,
This
Jonnu
this,
Smith, man.
yeah.
Come on,
This is ugly
Jonnu.
all around.
Man. You were
Hunter
just
Henry too, for that
hoping for
matter.
so much more from him, and it was just ugly. And then Damian Harris only had 6 carries. They threw the ball a ton, which was great for Jacoby Myers, who I think he had like 13, 14 targets.
And Kendrick Bourne.
And Bourne, and he had the touchdown, right?
Yep, and like 90 yards.
Mac Jones again, unfortunate for him, all these interceptions are going against him when they're really not his fault.
Yeah.
He looks pretty good out there. He looks like he's running the offense okay. So I think better days will come for the Pats. Rough game, some unfortunate turnovers, and that's Belichick's thing. You got to win the turnover game first. If you're negative in the turnovers, you don't win many football games. I think they had 3 or 4 in this one. So, you're definitely not walking out with W's after 4 turnovers, but better days will come for the Pats. And
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I want to say is the James White injury is just, it only bodes well. It's unfortunate for him, but it bodes well for Damian Harris' usage going forward. And the other note that I read today was that Ramondre Stevenson will be walking into that James White role, apparently.
That's fucking bullshit. That is so bullshit.
Apparently, the coaching staff has said that he is taking every note to heart, every note from the coaching staff, every note from veteran players, and they really love what he's doing. And I think that he's going to get a chance there in James White's role is what I read today.
So not only is Ramondre Stevenson taking every note to heart, he's taking all the cholesterol to his heart too, because he eats a lot of fucking food and he cannot catch passes. There's no chance that he's in that role. Like that's like you can say that, but Damian Harris is an exponentially better pass catcher, and so is JJ Taylor. That like you can hear that, but like I just don't buy it. I want to make my notes very very quick here because to me it's just sad. I mean, I like Mac Jones, but Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, I said him twice. Jacoby Myers, you can't start him at all. I mean, like with any like consistency. I mean, like maybe like Streamers, but Jonnu and Hunter Henry. I mean, like there's 5 pass catchers on a run first team ideally, and with a rookie quarterback, it's just not a good recipe for success. Damian Harris proves why he is not an every week locked in RB1 like we want him to be. But he's still an RB2 in good matchups and a flex play in bad matchups because he's gonna get volume and he's very efficient. But I mean, like outside of that, I want to make my notes even shorter for New Orleans. Kamara is a low end RB1 because he has this upside. He is very talented and he has defied efficiency like everywhere else. But like outside of Kamara, this team is just so awful. This offense has no value. Jameis has value in like really deep 2 QB leagues, but like even in my 2 QB league where I'm desperate quarterback, I'm benching him and I have him on my roster. So it's like it's just ugly. And like poor Kamara, but like it's just ugly.
It is, yeah. But the saving grace for them would be Sean Payton, right? You have to think that his offensive mind will be able to create something out of nothing. The positives for the Saints are that they have Alvin Kamara, and that's about it.
And he's a beast.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to what is this?
Cards and Jags.
I'm kind of worried about DeAndre Hopkins.
I am too, because he hasn't broken 10 targets yet.
Yeah. And Christian Kirk is wide receiver 14, like you were saying.
He's wide receiver 14, and then they're running a lot of 4 wide receiver sets on top of that, which means that he's not one of 2 guys out there. He's one of 4, which makes it harder to key in on.
Yeah. And Chase Edmonds has 16 grabs in 3 games. So they're running like 4 receivers plus Edmonds, who's catching 5 balls a game. Like, shout out him. I mean, that's good for you. But, like, I mean, Nuke, like, it's tough out here. Like, this is a very, what's the opposite of consolidated? spread out target share with a running back that's going to catch passes and a quarterback that's going to run them in. Like, it's kind of hard to see Nuke as his elite option like we have in the past. Like, sure, he's probably wide receiver 1 because he's that guy, but like high end wide receiver 1, I mean, no, not anymore.
No, he's a fringe now. You know, I could see him finishing 15, 16 based on his target volume in these first 3 games.
That's entirely possible.
And he's not a big separator. He's a contested catch guy. And you know, so that means that Kyler's going to use him in certain situations, but when it comes, you know, on your basic plays, he's going to go to the guy who's more open, and that's generally going to be Rondale Moore or Christian Kirk, because they're just that's what their game is.
I know you want to talk about Chase Edmonds here. Anything?
I just think that he's a smash play every week. And he hasn't even scored a touchdown yet. You know, the best is yet to come for him. I mean, James Conner got 2 touchdowns in this game, but I think that those will be his last touchdowns of the season, most likely.
Oh man, don't say that. I like James Conner.
I like James Conner too. I just think that like
he beat cancer, but he beat. Come on, Stick. Let's say James Conner could score one more time this year, just for the culture. One more touchdown for James Conner.
Okay. I'll give it to him.
Okay.
I don't want to be a jerk.
Well, yeah, but like, I mean, like, you're right. I mean, like, there's a world where Chase Edmonds is an RB1 at some point. Like, there really is, because like he's catching 5 balls a game on a great offense with a red zone role. Like Connor is gonna be there for early downs, and like I'm not of the belief that he's not gonna score. Like, I think he has upside every week to score because he's that big on a great offense. But like, let's not act like James Conner is a threat in any way in the passing game, or like anything else that's not going on carries. So I mean, Edmonds is a smash. Conner is a very desperate flex and good matchups. But I do think he has upside for touchdowns, kind of like Damian Harris, but like way worse. I mean, Kyler QB1, like you've been saying, it's kind of hard to disagree now. I mean, he's incredible, and he's gonna keep doing this. So.
Yeah, I mean, with the rushing floor that he's giving you, and he's passing the ball as much as Mahomes, there's no way that anyone's gonna outscore him. Not in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Because Mahomes isn't gonna run the way Kyler does. He can throw 40 touchdowns, but so will Kyler.
Yeah, it's really a rare blend of not only elite talent on the ground, but like a coach that is going to permit this type of passing volume. I mean, it's really a perfect storm for Kyler and fantasy this year. But so moving on to Jacksonville, it got a little more murky, and so I'll let you speak because I mean you saw them play today. Like, I didn't see much of the game, but I have a couple notes on Marvin Jones, but I'll let you go first.
The major thing for me is the running game. James Robinson got more work against the Cardinals, and then again tonight, he was out there and he was the focal point. And the great thing about that was it's like Urban Meyer begrudgingly is finally giving in and saying, "Oh, okay, fine, this undrafted guy can get the ball."
Right.
But like, he's the best player on the team, man. And not only did leaning on James Robinson help them be in this game against the Cincinnati Bengals tonight, but it opened up more for Trevor Lawrence running and passing the ball.
Yeah.
So it's only a good thing for Urban Meyer to use James Robinson more. I think he's figured that out over these last 2 games, and so I am yay on James Robinson again.
Yes, sir.
Start him every week. He's safe.
J-Rob is a top what running back rest of the season? 24? 20? 36? 100?
20.
20.
Yeah.
That's fair.
He's not getting a lot. They're not getting a lot of passing, but again, the fact that Trevor Lawrence is mobile helps James Robinson more than Gardner Minshew did.
He's mobile with it. Every time.
So, yeah, and we saw it tonight. He had 2 touchdowns and looked great.
Yeah, and like so when you're looking at this like late teen, early 20 range of running backs, a guy like J-Rob that has upside of multiple touchdowns and upside of 6-7 targets within the same week, he's kind of game script proof, and that's really rare for a guy like that. So I'm on board with that.
There was no one else. There was no one else playing running back today.
Yeah. Oh, really?
No.
Wow. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, J-Rob is he's definitely safe again, and I would, if you can trade for him, he might be one to target right now.
Really?
Because I think maybe people might not be ready to say that this is going to be a trend that continues the rest of the season. They might think that this is, because it was so different in the first 2 weeks than these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that it's a consistent thing going forward, but I believe it will be.
Stick Stomper is on board with the train, so I'm with it too.
Let's get it.
Of course. So DJ Chark obviously breaks his ankle. Unfortunate. You don't like seeing that, and neither do I, as someone that is facing J-Rob and playing Chark in multiple leagues.
Oof.
So that's just unfortunate. But enough of me. Marvin Jones. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see did he do anything today or not?
I think he had 2 or 3 grabs, but 20 or 30 yards. That was about it.
Okay.
He was kind of not involved. It was a lot of Visca and a lot of J-Rob.
Really?
Yeah. And it seemed like that's what they were doing. They were using J-Rob as there was a lot of read options going on.
Right.
Whether it was a read for him for Lawrence to hand the ball to Robinson and then maybe go the other way, a la Lamar Jackson, but they were also doing the run pass options as well, a la Mahomes. So it was I think that they're really leaning into the option in both ways to utilize Lawrence's smarts and legs.
Well, that certainly bodes well for Visca then.
It does.
Interesting. Okay, so really late analysis by me first, and then you can talk about Visca. But Marvin Jones is like a mini Brandon Cooks. I'd buy him low, especially with no Chark, because he's been a very underrated option that's probably going to be startable all season because he's going to get targets. Especially with no Chark, they were kind of in redundant roles. I'd go ahead and buy Jones, but what about Visca? Is he going to be legit now, you think, or
I think that his volume is only going to go up now. I mean, they're going to script more plays for him. They had success with these options tonight. I think that they're going to just continue to build on that. And Laviska looked really good out there. He wasn't only getting the those low ADOT targets today. He had a deep pass. He caught it, came down with it. So hopefully they continue to go to him that way and realize that he's not a one-trick pony or anything to pigeonhole. He can do it all.
Good for him. I like watching him play. I mean, shout out Visca, just a very fun player to watch.
He is. Yeah.
So is next game the football team versus the Bills?
Yeah. The Bills, man, they look great. The defense looks really good. Offense obviously looks great. Emmanuel Sanders, two touchdowns, I believe he had.
Yep.
Cole Beasley is just a target hog still.
Like 13 grabs or something like that. Like crazy.
He's the quintessential veteran slot receiver, like Edelman or Wes Welker in his time. Like, they just know how to find the soft spot in the zone and be quarterback friendly. And exactly. That's it, It doesn't have a huge ceiling, but it's a super, super safe floor.
Yeah, Beasley remains, I think I've said it 3 weeks in a row, the most boring flex play that you'll be happy with at the end of the week, because he's going to do this. Sanders has gotten 6 quality targets every week, quality because they're from Josh Allen, because he scores. He's probably startable in deeper leagues, flexible at least, streamable. Dawson Knox right now is tied in 5, which is kind of crazy because he hasn't played great. But, he's definitely streamable because they're scoring a lot of points.
Touchdowns, man. That's all it takes to be a tight end one. You just got to score some touchdowns.
Of course. Zach Moss is a guy that you should be buying right now.
We talked about this preseason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The idea of extending Josh Allen would put the notion in the coach's minds to protect him that much more. And that means, when they're up 43-21 or 43-14 or 35-10, don't
Which
let
happens a lot.
Josh keep running or passing the ball. We got Zach Moss in the second round?
Third. Yep.
Third round. I mean, they drafted him for a reason. Let's use him, right? And he looks good, so why not give him the ball, especially when you have a lead and he can just run out the clock for you and preserve your quarterback, and make sure that he's 100% when playoff time comes. I think the Bills are definitely onto something here and a force to be reckoned with going forward.
Yeah, I would go ahead. I would go ahead and buy Moss, if you can. I mean, he's solid. I mean, Josh Allen's stud. You can say anything about Allen and Diggs that isn't said. I mean, Diggs has 31 targets through 3 weeks, so he's a stud. But moving on to the football team, this is the second week in a row where my main note is Gibson is in trouble. He's really in trouble. He had 2 targets, and one of them went for a touchdown for 70 yards. So good for him because he's a stud.
Yeah, but without that, you would have been super disappointed.
A 4-point game.
Yep.
Without that. And once again, McKissick, 3 targets, out targeting him. I would sell high on Gibson right now. I mean, he hasn't played well, but you get a decent game here. You still have the draft capital in the back of the mind, but it's looking like this guy is going to be a legit RB2 from here on out. Because this team isn't great. He's not going to be with positive game scripts, and when he's not in a positive game script, it's McKissick time. He's out targeting him in multiple weeks, and you can't make hay off a touchdown like that every week, a long touchdown. So
and he was dealing with an injury today, from what I heard.
Yeah,
he had a shin thing or a leg thing going on.
Yeah, if you can get anything close to value for of what you drafted Gibson for, I would, because it's looking not good for him at all right now. He's probably RB 15, 16 right now for me rest season.
Is there any names come to mind that you think you can get for him that you would want to try and trade for?
God, it's hard. If you can get a guy like JT for him who has not played well, I would do that absolutely. If you can get a Calvin Ridley for him, that'd be great. Just like someone that you were optimistic through this market share lens that will produce that hasn't yet. Because
Calvin Ridley's a good one actually.
Yeah, and Gibson is really in trouble right now. So I would do all I could to even a guy like Darren Waller, I'd probably trade him for, just because we saw him get the fucking 20 target game, and then he's kind of cooled off since then. But anyone like that, I'd be very comfortable with.
DJ Moore would be one that I would try and get.
Ooh,
because he's one that has been. I think he's on the rise as far as his fantasy production and value go. And maybe the owners aren't quite bought into him, and maybe, you know what I mean? I think that DJ Moore might be one that you could possibly get for him and would be worth it.
You probably could. And to be honest, I'd probably rather have DJ Moore straight up. And that is probably a trade that would go through 1 for 1. So, go ahead and send it,
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? Terry McLaurin. He's gonna. Even in a bad game, 10 points. He's proof of everything. He's
that guy, man.
Proof. He's a stud. He's gonna have 10-point games and 30-point games, and he's gonna be a stud. So keep playing him as a top 15 receiver, in most weeks, and be happy with him because he's a stud. So.
One of my favorite DFS plays this coming Sunday. They're playing the Atlanta Falcons. And
are they really?
They are, and so the football team could be a sneaky DFS stack with a cheap Taylor Heineke, and you throw in McLaurin and Logan Thomas.
Oh,
that's a nice little
stack. Run it back,
there.
And then he could run it back with Ridley or Pitts, who have both underperformed. So interesting. Yeah, good call there, and that'll be a game that I'll watch. So
I'm actually really excited to watch that game if I can.
Hell yeah, dude. Note to you, next next Sunday, I'm gonna watch every minute of that game, because I literally have Ridley in 3 leagues and Pitts and McLaurin, so I'm gonna be all over that game. So shout out that. But moving on, is it Broncos next?
Yeah,
Broncos
Jets
versus
Broncos. The
yeah, okay.
shellacking of the Jets.
Oh my, they're so fucking awful. Oh my
They're
god,
terrible. You can't play
so
anybody
bad.
on the team. And then they have like this awesome matchup for wide receivers coming up this week where I'm like tempted to play Corey Davis,
You can't
but
do it.
it's like, but you can't. You can't do it.
No, you can't, because it's the Jets. It's the franchise of the butt fumble. Like they you know what I'm saying? It's still there.
I still hold out hope that Salah can right the ship and push them in a good direction. You know, it's too early to say that he's a bad coach or a bad head coach. Too early in his tenure, but you know, got to have faith in that guy to make the team at least a little bit better, and take some solace in the fact that their number one offensive lineman is out, and as soon as he went out, like I think it was like week 1 or 2 that he got hurt, but like the next 5 snaps, Wilson was sacked 3 times. You know, like it doesn't bode
That's
well
so
for the
tough.
future when that guy's not on the field.
That's
So
so tough.
get Becton back first, and then you know, maybe Wilson will have a chance. But as of right now, it's very bleak.
Yeah. I am an advocate of holding Michael Carter a little bit, I guess, because he's pretty talented and he's dirt cheap. I mean, he's probably dropped everywhere. So if you can hold Carter, I do it. But I mean, outside of that, just what are you doing with this team? You know?
Yeah, Carter is the one that I would hold as well, because there is some hope, especially down the line where the season gets more and more out of hand, and there's less reason to play veterans, and all the more reason to play guys like Michael Carter and get them the experience, and then the safety also, or build the rapport between your 2 future pieces of the offense. With,
Yeah.
you know, Wilson and Carter. If you don't get those 2 guys gelling now, you know, you're going to have to do it eventually. So why not start now?
Exactly. Do you want to talk about Tim Patrick at all? Because I mean, you robbed him a couple times. So.
Dude, I mean, he's just that guy. The Timinator is his new nickname, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So that he doesn't sound like an accountant.
Tim Patrick, what a guy. This is a guy that has like at this point he's like literally like historically efficient. Like I don't understand it. He scores every time he catches the ball, and it's wild. I mean, I'm gonna keep playing him until he doesn't, because like he's literally like I don't have a stat, but like I bet he's one of the most like on points per target. He's probably top 3 in the past 2 years. Like he literally catches everything and it's all touchdowns. So like that's wild. And another thing is it's gonna take a lot longer for Melvin to give up his job to Javonte than people want to think. I mean, I was saying this, like he's not gonna fold. Like, I mean, he's still very capable, and I think Javonte fumbled like at the goal line, so like that's like, I mean, that's just tough. And then like Melvin like punches it in. Melvin's gonna catch passes. Like it's gonna be a timeshare for almost the entire year, if not the entire year. So
he's still the highest paid player on the offense too. You know.
Yeah.
So they might as well get their money's worth, right?
Exactly.
Especially when your rookie fumbles. So.
Yeah, and at that point it's like wow, because like if you punch that in, like maybe there's a chance, but like I mean that's just rough for a rookie with a guy like Melvin Gordon waiting for him to fumble at the goal line. But
they were already splitting you know, it was basically 50-50, right?
Yeah.
But then in that crunch situation, the rookie falters, and then the veteran punches it in, like you said. So you have to think in the next situation that they come to like that, they're going to go to Melvin Gordon until he doesn't come through for them, right?
And he's probably going to keep doing it because he's not a bad running back and he has a good line. And so, yeah.
And he's a hungry guy.
Yeah. Sucks for Javonte owners, but couldn't be me. Moving on to Courtney Sutton. I mean, he's big game capable, but he's probably just a flex right now. I mean, am I right or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be inconsistent with Bridgewater.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's going to be hard to determine how this team plays when they have a good defense and 2 capable running backs that they want to lean on, and a game manager at quarterback. It's going to be hard to pick those games where Sutton is either pops off or is very valuable. And they haven't even used Noah Fant really yet. Is he going to start to be utilized now that they lost KJ Hamler?
Who knows?
Who knows? The passing game outside of Tim Patrick, who is the reason that he's safe to me is because of how cheap he was, and so he's like easy flex play in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Courtney Sutton, you had more invested in, and it's easier for him to hurt you. Is I guess my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else there. Do you have anything on the Dolphins? I mean, anything on Gesicki or Waller or anybody like that?
Yes. So the Dolphins, it was a totally different game with Brissett in there, right?
Yeah.
He was all about some Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle, which Waddle was already getting hyper-targeted from Tua, but it shows that Brissett likes him too, and it's probably because the dude just creates separation every second. But then he was definitely leaning on Gesicki as well. So Gesicki is playable now, where he was being dropped last week.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he get like 13, 14 targets?
Yeah, 13, I think.
Yeah. I mean, with Brissett, you kind of have to do that because like the tight end landscape is so bad that Dawson Knox is tight end 5 with
right.
Like yeah, I mean Gesicki isn't out to start with Brissett now because I mean it's just so bad out there.
If you're getting that many targets, it doesn't matter if you score a touchdown.
Of course, yeah.
That's the point about tight end there. Like if he gets that kind of volume, it's just he's so much safer than all the other options outside of the top 3.
It doesn't matter if you're scoring or you're efficient. Like you can catch like 5 balls or 6 balls on that and still be like a tight end 1 that week because like it's so bad out there,
Exactly.
So, and then in that same vein, Jalen Waddle is literally a running back through the air, which is good for PPR because he has 10 targets per game in the past 2 weeks. I mean like on average.
Minimum.
And he's very efficient because they're so close to the line of scrimmage. So like 12 to 15 points every week is going to be expected, and that's solid to start. So I mean, go ahead and play Waddle.
Yep. He was a great pickup late in the draft because he's an easy, safe play, especially PPR, like you said.
Which you called multiple times, so good job, you. And I was like, not gonna happen, but here we are. Gaskin actually has had 5+ targets every week, which is surprising to me because I thought he was kind of washed. But I mean, Gaskin is playable because if you're getting 5 targets as a running back, you're playable. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, anything else? I mean, it's looking like this is a 3-headed monster with Brissett, with Gesicki, Waddle, and Gaskin. But
yeah, like what happened to Devontae Parker? Is he even on the team anymore?
And Will Fuller. I mean, there's nothing,
Yeah, Fuller is gonna be weird because he's like I don't know, like injured and out because of personal reasons.
PEDs and
yeah, it's just he's maybe second half of the year he'll be more utilized or whatever. But as of right now, you can't play him for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's all I got. Do you have anything on Vikings Bucks? Oh no, wait, what was it? It was Vikings who?
Vikings Seahawks.
Okay, my bad. Vikings Seahawks.
I mean, Kirk Cousins, man.
Stud.
He's a QB7, I think.
Yeah, very, very underrated, and it has been for a while.
This is his best September ever.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. He's generally starts off slow, and then picks up as the season goes along. So he is currently the quarterback 6.
Wow, good for him.
He's basically tied with Josh Allen and Matt Stafford, though they're all around 72 points. Anyways, I'm just curious of how this team is going to go. I mean, we talked about it last week, and why he was my riser is because the defense still looks bad. They're still allowing a lot of points through the air, and they're going to have to throw the ball. Dalvin Cook is out. They can't lean on their stud running back. they're going to lean on their quarterback in the passing game and these 3 wide receivers that they got going. I mean, Adam Thielen can't stop scoring touchdowns even if he tried, I bet. Cousins just missed Osborne on a long play this past week. Again, could have had another huge game. And Justin Jefferson is just a stud still, an ascending star. So, I mean, there's no reason to think that Kirk Cousins isn't going to finish in the top 10 this year at least. He's also probably a lock for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, right, every week.
Yeah, I mean, like, not only will he probably be top, like it could be 1, but he's gonna be pretty consistent there too, because he's not relying on like huge spike weeks from like rushing. I mean, he's just getting there every week through the air. So yeah. Exactly.
He's gonna be safe to play until further notice. I mean, and he's available in a lot of leagues too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Kirk solid. My only note on this game, because like, I mean, it's pretty boring on the Seattle side, like same thing. But my only note was I thought Madison wasn't really a handcuff. I thought he was just like the backup. But he had 8 targets, so that constitutes as a high-end handcuff. So even once Cook is back, I would hold Madison, because it's pretty apparent that he is going to be in the Dalvin Cook role when Cook is gone, at least this season. So I like him as a stash that has a lot of upside on the bench.
He definitely looked better in this past week than he did last year. So making strides, that's good. That's what you want to see. It makes him that much easier to invest in, when last year it was like people were worried that, he wasn't going to, like you said, he was more of he wasn't as much of a handcuff as we can view him as now.
Yeah, he was just the backup, so.
Right.
I get it. Now we have Bucks Rams, right?
Bucks Rams.
Okay. My notes are gonna be really fast here, and then I'll just talk about the Rams. If I call your name, you're startable, but you're not elite. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, AB, Gronk, Tom Brady. That's literally the entire offense. They're all like mid-level starters at their position, and that's about it. So I don't know what else to say. It's pretty boring.
Drop Rojo if you have him.
Yeah.
He has 5 points through 3 weeks. It's like astonishing and sad. Yeah, they just have no running game. But they have so many pass catchers that none of them are elite. Like you said, they are all they kind of cannibalize each other.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's really hard, because like you want to think that a team that scores this many points will like produce eventually, but like they're running backs, but it's just all Tom Brady throwing like Gronk in the red zone, and it's hard to trust anybody there. So, I mean, I agree. You have anything on the Rams?
Matthew Stafford, he's one of my risers, and because we're nearing the end here, I'll start getting into them.
Okay.
And this is why. Okay, continued problems with the running back health. Okay, that Henderson was out. Sony Michel had an okay game, but when it comes down to making the plays, it's going to be through Stafford in the passing game.
Yeah.
He has the best play caller in the NFL. He has Deshaun Jackson, Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Tyler Higbee, just like we mentioned with Tom Brady. Tons of pass catchers who they aren't really cannibalizing each other right now, but it really doesn't matter when you're talking about the quarterback position. This guy is going to score. He's going to put up 250 and 2 at minimum every week, and that's a safe play. That's a QB1. That is a safe start to your fantasy lineup each week with a minimum of 20 points plus. I mean, he's had over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 of his 3 games. His worst game was like 280 and 2. And I think that's his floor, 280 and 2.
What was all that off the dome?
No, I took those notes.
Oh man, that'd be impressive. But still, I agree with all of that.
And then the last part of my notes. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
His next 5 games: Seattle, the Giants, Detroit, Houston, and Tennessee. That's a minimum of 303 for 5 straight games.
this man is gonna be elite in the stretch, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Elite. Uh, okay, I always love your Rams insights because you are a true fan. What's going on with Robert Woods here? Because I'm kind of concerned as a Robert Woods owner. I'm not gonna lie.
We talked about the Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford having breakfast together and going over the playbook, and why isn't Robert Woods there? Well, Robert Woods just had a baby. He's concerned with being a daddy, and that's okay. And that's why he's not at breakfast, but he's at practice, and he's going to get the ball. I think it's just, Cooper Kupp, as good as he is and what he's shown us over the last few years, it doesn't mean that these other guys are going to go away. Like, Robert Woods is still uber talented, and he's still knows the offense in and out just as well as Cooper Kupp does. I think it's just a matter of once teams really scheme to take away Cooper Kupp away, if they even can, I guess, it's just going to lead to more production for Robert Woods. So I think better times are ahead, and he's still a buy low for me. After 3 weeks of being outside the top 36, it's going to be hard for him to get into the top 15 at the end of the year, but not impossible. I just think that you can't panic is my point.
Yeah. Okay. Can you name every receiver that is ahead of Cooper Kupp for the rest of the season rankings?
Devontae Adams. End of list.
It's honestly hard to dispute that. I mean, when Stephon Diggs, when his teammates are catching multiple touchdowns and catching 13 balls, and Tyreek Hill has 2 off games, it's who's gonna be there? It might be Cooper Kupp. That's not even a bad take at all.
He has easy top 5 finish upside going for him right now. Easy top 5. I could see him finishing in the top 3. But again, I have to think that he is just like Tyreek Hill can be schemed out of a game. So can Cooper Kupp. The NFL evolves every week, so I'm just really curious to see kind of where it goes. I love Cooper Kupp and his talent. I've loved having him on my fantasy teams in the past. I had the opportunity to draft him this year and went with Robert Woods over him.
Me too,
it's looking like a mistake right now, but things can change, like I said. So I wouldn't sell Cooper Kupp at all. I would just keep ride it all the way home. They're on the best. It's the best team in the NFL. They're number 1.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I was going to say. You have a couple great receivers, and that's great. Kupp, probably top 3, like you're saying, rest of the season. Total stud. Okay. Do you have anything on the Green Bay Packers and the 49ers? Because I have a couple of notes, and that, first of all, really, really, really fun game to watch. AR comes down, stud, end of the game. Devontae, come on. Devontae is the best receiver in fantasy, but we knew this. This was apparent before the game, but now it is after the game too. Kittle, he's still top 5 because he's capable of this every week. But still, there are volume concerns, and he probably is at number 5 or near it. I'd probably rather still have Hawkinson because of volume, but Kittle is definitely capable of stuff like this. Ayuk and Debo are flexible, but this is still 2 targets for Brandon. No, 8 targets for Brandon Ayuk in the past 2 games combined. So oh shit, kind of hard there to trust him. And Tanyan, my last thing, Tanyan is in trouble. This guy looked like kind of a sleeper going into the year, but he's just nothing right now. So yeah.
Touchdown dependent tight end again. He got we talked about it preseason. He had 70 targets, I think, and 13 touchdowns on 70 some targets. Literally half the targets of Kelsey, and he finished number 4 or something stupid.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
So that was obviously unsustainable. The regression was going to hit hard. Especially if he didn't get a major bump in volume, which he hasn't.
It has hit really hard though. Like he's nothing right now. You know, it's
Yeah,
wild.
he's hard to start, unless if he's nearly droppable.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate because I think he's a good player, but I don't know. I guess they really just don't need him to be that in the offense because all they need is Jones and Devontae.
especially especially when guys like Mike Gesicki are just popping up with targets like that often. And then I mean, obviously, like last year we had like Logan Thomas, who's like still relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just better tight ends to play than him. I mean, like even Gronk now, it's hard. So yeah,
It's pretty wild.
yeah, I'd probably drop him to be honest too. So yeah,
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
it is.
you got to get with the times.
Exactly. You can't be living in 2020. You gotta live in 21. So I mean, anything else in this game, or do you want to move on to the last game?
Nah, let's hit this last game, and then we'll get into our risers and fallers.
All right, sweet. Okay, my notes here are pretty quick. I mean, Zeke is still an RB1 because he's always been bad, but he's always been good in fantasy. This doesn't change no matter how bad he is in real life. Or like, I mean, he's gonna get there with volume and touchdowns in fantasy. CD and Amari are fine because they're studs. It was just a really weird game. Dak's gonna be fine. He was really efficient. Really efficient again. Just not like the crazy volume that we had hoped. So I mean, I'm bullish on this entire offense going forward once again. For the Cowboys. What about you?
I think Ezekiel Elliott was reading a lot of Twitter. He was watching a lot of news. He was plugged into the One Thought Fantasy YouTube channel, and he heard everybody talking shit, and he ran like a maniac on Monday night. That's the hardest I've seen him run in 3 years. It was so apparent to me that he heard what was going on, what people were saying about him and Tony Pollard, that he lost a step and Tony Pollard's a better running back, and he played like it. Zeke, like you said, I totally agree with you. He's just going to get there because he's on a good offense. He's going to get the volume. He's going to be out there. He's good between the tackles. So yeah, it's just a safe RB1. Tony Pollard is borderline flex play. I don't want to say a safe flex play, but in the right matchup, I would play him. He's getting a minimum of like 12 touches a game. So yeah, and then Dak looks amazing. He's just he's a wizard, man. He's so efficient, on point with every throw. That makes all these pass catchers viable. Dalton Schultz he's like a safe tight end to play for me. He's got, I think, a minimum of 5 targets every game.
Yep.
And on an offense that's going to put up points the way these guys are, this team is trending in the right direction on both sides of the ball. So they're definitely ones to watch and pick up any piece of that you can.
I agree. Moving on to the Eagles, the only thing that was really encouraging for me was that Miles Sanders did not get game scripted out. He had 4 targets, which is the same as Gainwell, but he was actually efficient on those targets. When this team is ahead, Sanders is going to eat, and when they're behind, he's not going to suck. So he's a pretty safe high-end RB2, mid RB2 for me going forward. But I mean, like besides that, this team doesn't look great. I mean, Devontae Smith is like flexible because he is getting volume and he's pretty efficient. But I mean, it's just tough to trust anyone outside of Sanders for me on this offense.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Jalen Hurts is safe to play because of the rushing floor. I think he's a QB4 right now.
Really?
Yeah, he is QB4 in half-point PPR scoring. But I think that this team is going to get better as well. New coaching staff still implementing a new offense. Hurts was throwing bad passes, but I trust that he will get better. He didn't look like Big Ben, He doesn't look like Matt Ryan. He's got some juice. He's gonna make defenses play him both ways as far as they have to respect his legs, and that's just gonna lead to better passing lanes for him. So I have to think that he would maintain this sort of value
Yeah.
as a high-end QB1 going forward. He has good pass catchers in Devontae Smith, and Jalen Reagor's playing so much better than he was last year. Um, Goddard is good. And then Zach Ertz is even getting involved, which
Wild.
is wild.
Pretty
Um,
crazy.
he doesn't look good, but he's getting involved.
Yeah.
I think Hurts is making him look better than he actually is. Honestly, um, I think it was just a tough game for the Eagles Monday night in Dallas. Dak's first game back. That stadium was just pumped for them, and Eagles couldn't hang. Hurts still has a lot of growing to do. Um, so yeah, I agree with you as far as Miles Sanders being the safest play, and Devontae Smith being flex worthy, and I would consider Jalen Reagor in a deeper league
Okay.
if you needed another flex play out of that team.
Yeah, and I mean, given what you said about Hurts, it's never been more apparent that um, dual threat QBs are kind of a cheat code, and cause like you can be a guy like Tom Brady and throw 4 touchdowns and not even compete with Hurts or not on the same level. So I mean, it's just like looking for 3-5 years. There's not going to be any more pocket passers. Like you're going to need to scramble for 30, 40 yards a game to be even relevant in fantasy, and it's never been more apparent than now when Jalen Hurts is that good of a quarterback in fantasy. So
It's going to be the opposite of what it has been for the last 10 years. There's always been for probably longer than 10 years. But there's always been just a handful of guys in the NFL that run the ball, right, at the quarterback
yeah.
position. And it's just trending to be the opposite, where there's only going to be a handful of pocket passers, maybe 3 or 4, and everybody else is going to be a dual threat guy, at least in some capacity. Even, Ryan Tannehill is a dual threat quarterback, but maybe we don't think about that's not the first thing we think about when we think about Ryan Tannehill. But he really is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and even guys like Daniel Jones that like they are fantasy relevant because they run, but you don't think about it. It's just like if you're an average passer, you better be able to run, or you're just not even playable in fantasy. So
Yeah.
I mean that's gonna be the standard like going forward, and I mean there's really no change in it now. It's too far gone. So
Totally agree. You want to get into your risers and fallers?
yeah, here real quick. So here 1 second. I'm gonna cut this off. Bye everybody.